California, professionally known as Nipsey Hussle. Many of us didn't even know them by their music. None of us knew them personally. But when they died, it just seemed like somebody in your family had passed away. I found myself sitting in my office shaking my head saying, "Dad, Nipsey's gone." And I can remember when I was a young boy sitting in the classroom saying, "Man, that's so sad what happened to Aaliyah." It drew my attention, captivated all of us, all of the news outlets, very heavily publicized their deaths. And as I begin to think about what happened in each of their lives, even as it pertains to what surrounded their life and their death, I begin to see that there is a great deal of revelation for us young people to understand. You see, so often, and I'll put a quarter in a meter and park here, we don't do the type of work that we need to do to prevent maintenance. In young people's lives, oftentimes we find ourselves having to repair adults when it's a lot easier and less expensive to train up children. Let me say that again. It's easier to train up children than it is to repair adults. But what we typically do is, because we fear that young people don't really know what's going on, we wait until situations hit them and then we put the training in. But God wouldn't have us to be counterpunchers, but rather we take the fight to the devil. One thing you can't escape in life, beloved of God, is relationships. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how good your hair is. I don't care what side of Burlington you from, if you from Raw Hut or if you from the other side. No matter who or what you are, you will find yourselves in relationships. And unfortunately, many of us learn the lessons from relationships only after we done been through some stuff where we almost had to knock me a Negro out. Now listen, y'all might not invite me back, and it's cool because I'm here now. So don't look at me in that tone of voice. Come on and get with me. You know what it is to be dealing with somebody and then they do you wrong for some reason, and then you got to pray to the Lord, don't let me see them off church ground because it's going to be on. Many of y'all know what it is to say, listen, I ain't going to ride by that house and stop. But if I catch them on the front porch, they gonna have to catch my hands. Y'all ain't talking to me. You know what it is to look at your supervisor and say, man, listen, as soon as I get off this clock, you gonna have to run me my fade. You young people know what it is to say, if this joker don't quit copying my paper, stealing my markers, using my glue stick, we gonna have problems. So I feel like it's necessary, if we're training kingdom citizens at a young age, to make sure we prepare them to handle and manage relationships. Because if we're not managing relationships, then we'll end up in a place where we'll have relation slips. A relation slip is a place where a relationship costs you more than you anticipated paying. A relation slip is a relationship that took you further than you planned on going. It reminds us of the definition of Billy Graham and sin. And so, beloved of God, these two individuals, even in their life and their death, teach us two very important lessons that I want to draw your attention to. Y'all remember Aaliyah, don't you? Yeah. Leah was the fair-skinned young lady who had long hair. We ain't sure if it was hers or not, but it didn't matter because she was popping. Aaliyah was a young girl who could dance way better than Ciara, who could sing way better than Beyonce, who had hit after hit after hit and was beginning to make the transition from just being a regular pop star, Sister Caroline, into being a megastar. Here's what happened. Aaliyah went down to Abaco, the Bahamas, to shoot a video called Rock the Boat. And you know how Negroes do, that we can't go by ourselves. We got to take a whole bunch of folk with us. So she called her mama, them, and her cousins, her sister, them, and her brother. I'll get your stuff and get on the plane. They went down to Abaco, Bahamas on a 404 Cessna private plane. They loaded up all of their equipment. They loaded up all of their hair, their makeup, their outfits, their wardrobe. They went down to the Bahamas to shoot the video. Cinematography from behind the scenes suggested the video flowed so seamlessly. Said that the video shoot was so easy. And they had never been able to capture Aaliyah in such a beautiful light. Well, the video shoot wrapped up so fast, Pastor Trey, that they ended up wrapping up a day early. And unfortunately, the 404 404 Cessna plane that Aaliyah had flew down there on wasn't ready. And so in order for her, in the words of the city girls, to get flued back out, they were forced with one of two options. They could either wait for the 404 Cessna, or they could jump on the 402B Cessna, which was a little smaller, but they would have to leave some folks behind. Y'all ain't talking. And so what happened was, because Aaliyah was in such a rush to leave her current place to get into her new place, Aaliyah made the decision that because I don't want to leave anybody behind, I would rather try to crowd my transition from my old place into my new place. But the problem was the vehicle that was carrying her from there to here didn't have the capacity to hold it. Listen to me. God is saying to some young person right now, some old person right now, that when you're navigating your transitions, listen, everybody can't go right now. I'll get you somewhere throughout the week. And listen, it's not that God is saying y'all can't never go, but some of these Negroes just can't go right now. Y'all ain't talking to me. And what's going to end up happening is, if you jam up Aladi, Dottie, and everybody on the ship with you now, you're going to end up hurting yourself and potentially costing your life. Relation slip advice number 1 lets us know that we can't carry everybody right now. We might have to come back and get them later. Nipsey Hussle was such a philanthropic example of excellence. See, a lot of rappers talk that talk. Nipsey was walking a walk. Millions of dollars invested into making his space better. Not just throwing money, but making sure he created programs that were geared towards teaching little black boys and little black girls in the tone antenna that they could learn from. Y'all ain't talking here. He was ahead of the game. He owned all of his masters. He was ahead of the curve, had heavily invested into Bitcoin, which is a new monetizing system that will revolutionize and free all those who buy into it financially. Nipsey was a great man. A couple of Sundays ago, I was walking through my house. My phone started lighting up, and it said that Nipsey Hussle had been shot. Had several conversations with brothers and sisters about what I felt was the best album of last year, which was Victory Lap, which was Nipsey's album. I felt like he was such a great rapper, and it saddened me to hear that he had died, Russell. But I learned later, as you begin to pay attention to the story, that the young man who allegedly shot Nipsey Hussle a couple Sundays ago was photographed in a picture with Nipsey Hussle just 2 steps away. I'm going to say it again. The same person that shot Nipsey a couple Sundays ago was close enough to Nipsey to be photographed with him just a few years ago. Listen, Kanye West said it like this: you gotta check your circle. Because too many Urkels in your circle will make your wings low. Y'all will catch that on your way home. You see, what we've got to make sure that we're doing is that we're constantly evaluating the people that we call buddy, babe, bestie, and teammates, because everybody that's there looking like they're for you ain't always for you. Can I go a little bit deeper? I need you to catch this. If you tweet it and put it on Facebook, tag me in and you'll get 30 likes in the first 30 minutes. Listen, everybody that says they supporting you ain't there for support. Some of these Negroes there for surveillance. Y'all ain't talking to me as good as I'm preaching. Yeah, they looking like they patting you on the back, but what they're really doing is looking at you to make sure that your greatness doesn't outgrade their greatness. They're not there to support you, but they're really there for surveillance. Relation slips. And beloved of God, these 2 examples and examples like it are what I came to preach to y'all tonight. It's the situation and circumstance that we find right here in 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 11. And I ain't read a whole lot, because it ain't really a whole lot to read, but I'll bust it down and chop it up for you. Paul is talking to Timothy in 2 Timothy, not to be confused with Pastor Blackwell's son, but 2 Timothy, the book of the Bible, he's talking, and he simply says, get Mark. Simple enough. But the question is, if Paul found the need to tell somebody to get Mark, then where does Paul have to send somebody to get Mark from? If I got to tell you to get him, then where he at? I'm glad you asked.